How's everybody today? So I couldn't help but notice each of the speakers that came before me talk about the venue, and I heard talks of tuxes, and I heard talks of James Bond, and maybe I was the only one thinking this would make an amazing virtual reality scene for the next Oculus release. So I'm just going to give some calls and say, think of that. You could have some pretty cool fights in this room. So hey, I also wanted to start by saying great talks about connection, devices, applications, environments. I'm going to talk, I hope, about something that no one has talked about yet, but I'm going to thread through everything everyone talked about before. Now, before I get started, I do want to point out I also, from Verizon, am a proponent of connected devices, but you will notice that I'm wearing mine. So you actually don't have to hold them all. You can actually put them on. So my topic today is going to be a little different. Who here has played the game of leapfrog as a child? I'm going to redefine this term for you in the next 12 minutes. Hope that I can convince you that right now is the time for government to leapfrog enterprise. Now look, I've listened this morning. I was very excited this morning to come here and listen. But as I listened, I got more and more enthusiastic that this is the decade where government leapfrogs past enterprise and makes the innovations that really matter. After all, our country was founded on the principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you talk to anybody in the US, they'll tell you it is their right to have these things. But if you talk to anybody under the age of about 35, they will tell you that they think they have an inalienable right to also be always connected. In fact, with singularity coming fast on the scene, the whole life thing is getting a little blurry. They may want us to replace it with always connected. And just look at this past weekend. A horrific tragedy in Paris resulted in a singular activity that demonstrates the right of the citizens to be connected. As the government, as the police were unable to protect people out on the street, the Parisians rose to the equation, flooding Twitter with private messages saying, I'm in District 5, I'm in District 7, I'm in District 4, DM me for safe location. More than 1,000 residents opened their doors to both victims of the shootings as well as people that were afraid to be out on a street full of terror. This is an example of a citizenry that is not only always connected, but is going to challenge the fabric of our government to empower them to be connected from here forward. Not just on a singular device, but in everything they do to live, to work, to play. And in this, the government will need to deliver. So my thesis statement, if you will, this morning in my remaining time is, can you leapfrog enterprise? I'm going to redefine leapfrog to get us started. It is not a child's game. It is not a competitive disruptor. It is, in fact, using the experiences of those that come before you to leapfrog an entire generation of technology and end up in a next one, using the learnings of those that came before you to accelerate your results. Kind of like the kids' game, jumping over the back of those that came before you. So now I'm going to share with you a couple of my secrets. Now, this is going to be the secret sign, okay? I'm going to share some things with you today that have not been published yet and some that have, about our interpretation of where enterprises truly are in the digital landscape. But before I get started, I want to make sure that I talk a little bit about what's really happening. So, this is the world we live in. Almost 80% of IT organizations say it's their responsibility to have a network that performs. And yet, almost 70% of them admit the legacy network is a bottleneck for enterprise IT. Now, that's a fact, that's a stat, and probably an interesting one. But more interesting is the fact that more than 50% of cloud app deployments suffer in the first release because the network was not conditioned to handle them. App failures cost money, and they cost you the attention of a market. But on top of that, most CIOs today understand the cloud is there for a competitive advantage. Why? Because it's a cool new way to do infrastructure? No. Because it's a great way to do transparent applications? No. Because the fast turns in applications that are coming up and down in minutes, in days, and in weeks call for a flexible hybrid cloud environment that lets you deploy in a low CapEx way, on OpEx, and really in a flexible way to get your applications to market. But as I told you, 50% of these folks find that after they deploy the app, they need to redesign their network because it can't keep up with the pressure. It can't keep up with the demand. It can't keep up with what is increasingly becoming a digital citizenry. Add on top of that the fact that the very millennials who are demanding to be always connected, that are demanding that we give it to them as their right, are also demanding a different customer experience. Not just from their local Macy's or Nordstrom's or other retail environment like Starbucks, but from you. Why should they have to visit 7 websites to get 1 or 2 things done? Why should you get to pick what their experience is? Why can't they sit at the policy table with you and design their technology experience? This is the anticipation of millennials, raised, quite frankly, as brats. I have too. Believing that they do not have to work as hard as the generation that came before them. They still have my credit card. And I pay their car insurance. It's almost like an Oprah minute, right? I'm like, listen, this is my problem. Okay, so, sorry, I segue. So these millennials believe that they should define your customer experience. In fact, in a recent survey of 10,000 millennials, they said they believe that every product that is created is not finished by the company or government that creates it, but in fact finished by them. If we don't do it right, they'll hack it to do it right themselves. And so in that environment, CIOs in major enterprises, only 15% of them are saying they feel they're confident that they can get the customer experience right for the next generation. So the network not fit for purpose, they're having difficulties keeping up with the apps, not able to define the CX, and finally, although most of them agree that improving security is a top priority, very few of them have the staff to do so. In fact, one of the most relevant conversations I have right now when I'm out in the market is about a product that we launched earlier this year, our rapid response retainer. In the minute that matters, when there's a security breach, that someone can get to us and we can come in and respond. Because in the average breach in enterprise, it is not only months before it is detected, it is often months before it is remedied. And in that moment that matters, the average IT staff does not have enough people to address the issue. So network not conditioned, cloud applications failing, they're worried about security and oh, they can't get CX. So I don't know about you, but I think all of this is an opportunity for each of you sitting in the room. And perhaps my thesis that government can actually leapfrog enterprise is something that if you give me a few more minutes, I can actually share with you. Now look, I was gonna have this slide build, but I think I've heard this all today. Whether it's IoT, a hyper-connected workforce, security, smart cities, open data platforms, hybrid clouds, this is all just geek speak for one formidable moment. And it is a moment where the citizens that will be paying all of our ways in the generations to come are saying we have a better idea. The roads can tell me when there's traffic. I can help the soldier fight better. I can make sure that rather than standing in line outside a Walmart because I'm disadvantaged and need help from my government to get formula for my baby or diapers for my child, that you can tell me and engage me in the supply chain so that I don't have to suffer that horrible consequence of not being able to feed my child. I don't care what you call the technology, I care what you call the outcome. And that is a better, safer, more engaging nation. And after all, this is the best nation in the world, and it is your time to innovate far past what enterprises have done and engage our citizenry in a whole new discussion. And so as I think about what might happen 5 years from now, I envision not only this place being a virtual reality game, but also a digital State of the Union that goes something like this. While enterprises were shaping their digital strategy, secret time, 93% of enterprises believe their digital strategy is important. In the C-suite, there is absolutely zero alignment on what that digital strategy means. In fact, in most organizations, there are more than 100 different definitions of digital strategy. So while that chaos was happening in enterprise, you as a government group fully defined and executed on a digital strategy. And after all, you have 100% market share. We're all citizens. You have our eyeballs, you have our attention in it for you to win. With regards to networks, while enterprises, 67% struggled with how they will manage a legacy network and get these innovations happening, you leapfrogged over and went to software-defined networking. Frankly, in my view as a technologist, the most exciting opportunity to all of us as geeks that have happened since Star Wars releasing on December 18th. Want to call it, that day's sacred to me. So, sorry. This would also make a nice launch party location. So now that I think about this software-defined network, let me define it for you a little differently maybe than the industry has. I believe it creates a world where us as technologists no longer have to think fixed or wireless. Bandwidth, big, small, medium, what's the app going to use, but actually offers dynamic, flexible work environments to create users to applications in a way that's seamless and reliable. And in times of great need, when there's a public emergency, when there are issues that the government needs to respond to, it is actually the technology that is enabling things like our LTE quality of service, which actually allows us to prioritize government traffic in a time of need. These are the things that software-defined networking can bring, and I believe the government will be first to adopt it. While the enterprises were still adopting cloud and talking about the differences between a hybrid cloud and a private cloud and a public cloud and this cloud and that cloud, you deployed mission-critical clouds that had an open data platform when it was needed because applications were going to be reused, and that had a closed data platform when they were not. In fact, Gartner tells us about 30% of these environments will be open data by 2018 in the government. While enterprise tried to build strong partnerships among the C-suite to define digital strategy and make the right investments, you took advantage of the ever-decreasing cost of technology and became synonymous, a term that actually my chief of staff made up last week that was C-suite anonymous. We don't care where it comes from, we're just going to enable it. While enterprise continued to try to connect their employees with an ever-growing number of devices, cars, etc., you integrated and did intelligent things for the citizenry. I have an 85-year-old father who's a polio survivor who is unable to drive himself in a car. I had to remove him from his home and put him in an assisted living facility, not because he needs help in his day-to-day care, but because the man needed a ride to the doctor. The technology that we're talking about today would remove the need to take amazing people like my dad out of his home. And I believe in a few short years, the government will embrace these things and serve the silver tsunami very well. And finally, because you each asked yourself, truly, based on your role, what will digital deliver? How can I improve transparency? How do I improve the experiences? Who do I work with to get this done? What does my new customer look like? And can I leapfrog private? Then in fact, you will have started the journey long before those that come before you. But with your permission, I'd like to close my speech today with a little demonstration. Are you willing to do the audience demonstration part? Yeah. Don't leave me hanging out here. All right, it's harder on me than it is on you. I have heels on. Dustin Lau knows how to do this, so if you have problems, Dustin, raise your hand, you can help. Okay, right foot in the air. Seriously. You can do it, you can do it. You can stand or sit, I'm good. Okay, right hand in the air. Please make a circle with your leg. And I'll try not to fall as I do this in my high heels. Okay, I usually can do this better. Wait, I'll lean. Okay, there we go. Good. Now I'd like you to keep the leg circling. Make the number 6. What happened to your leg? Did it go the other way? This is called the law of opposing forces. When one thing tries to go one way and the other thing tries to go the other way on the same side of your body, it's impossible. And this is a little bit like the next generation of users, the millennials, are trying to go one way, and we as a government, as Descartes once said, there go my people, I must follow them. We must follow them in order to go in the same direction. But wait, there's more. Let's do it one more time. Okay, leg going. Make the number 6 from the belly. Was your leg able to stay going in the same direction when you made the 6 in a new way? This is the reality I'm asking you to embrace. A reality that says, yes, there go my people and I must follow them. They're digital citizens. They're going to demand it. We want to be there for them. But as the CIOs of the nation, as the technical geniuses of the nation, let us not let them go alone. Let us find a way to give them what they want while making the number the way we know protects our nation's data, connects people in a logical, sensible, safe way, and provides the next generation, and my father, the greatest generation, with the actual life that they deserve, earned, and deserve to have as a U.S. citizen. On behalf of everyone at Verizon, I thank you for what you'll do in the next 5 years to make my and my family's life better. Thank you.